fix my hair. Let's see. And these are like tinted, so it's like, I'm such a nerd. Oh my god. Okay, oh well. Channel. It is Stella the Light. Today I'm going to be doing a video on Hawaii, kind of like a review, overview, answer your questions. About 6 months ago, me and my partner left Pennsylvania to go start traveling the world, and what we did was we settled down on Oahu for about 4 or 5 months, and we lived there, essentially living, working, paying rent, doing kind of the normal thing. So when we travel, we don't travel for vacation, we travel for experience and living in an area because we sort of just want to find where in the world we feel most happy, confident to settle, because we almost settled in Pennsylvania. But at the last minute we thought, you know what, we're young, let's dive in and travel for a couple years. So I'm just gonna start with some of the questions you guys asked. You guys asked really great questions. I ended up asking on like or on Instagram, like the questions thing, and you guys came up with several pages worth of questions that are really great. So I'm gonna go through these and just answer some of the most interesting ones that I think will be most important for you guys, and the ones that you kind of had a lot of questions on, financially, and where we stayed, and how the food was, and how living there was in general. So let's get right into it. The first question, what did you guys do for work while traveling? My guy drove truck and I ran my business. He drove truck about part-time 3 days a week. Sometimes it would be 2 and sometimes it would be 4. I think even one time he worked 5 days. A 5-day week, but he wanted to really focus while he was there on his own goals and hobbies and his future, and he was working really hard here in Pennsylvania, which was amazing. He loves to work hard. It's just, I think it's kind of like ingrained in him to be a hard worker, and he loves the work that he does. So while that was great, it wasn't giving him a lot of time to really think on, well, what do I want to do with my future? Again, I said that he worked for his father's business, so while his passion lies there, he just wasn't sure exactly what he wanted to do, and he used these past 5 months to really dive deep into his own health and his own future goals and things like that. And it was just a really great time for him to, you know, relax and focus on himself and what he wants to do, and it worked out really great. So I'm glad that he did that. But that's essentially what we both did. I worked the same as I did here in Pennsylvania, doing the same job. I transitioned people to a plant-based lifestyle based off of goals like healing digestion, energy, weight loss, sometimes weight gain, healing eating disorders, or just kind of whatever your goals are. I transition you to the lifestyle that me and him both live, which we both started living 4 years ago. Best decision of our lives, hands down. If you're thinking about going plant-based, you should try it. It's amazing. Because that light is getting, and it's the same. So this person wanted to know how much per day on average should they plan to have, how much money, I'm guessing. So I don't know daily how much we spent or how much we should have, you should have daily. I think it would depend on a lot of things, depending on your housing. And there was a lot of questions about housing. So I want to go over that a little bit. It is more expensive than any other state in the United States. You will pay more if you live up on the North Shore versus down near town or in another area. North Shore is more expensive, but for us that was more ideal, and that was the experience we wanted. So most of the time we were on the North Shore, but we did get to experience all over the island, and we even stayed down near Honolulu, which they call town. We stayed down near Honolulu for a month, and that was amazing as well. So I think it really depends on how you eat. Do you eat out often? Do you go shopping a lot? I did a whole budgeting video on that, and I will link that down in the description for you guys, on how we budgeted and how we currently budget, and how we save a lot of money and are able to travel comfortably while not, you know, struggling. So essentially I think it would depend on a lot of things for you. We eat plant-based and we don't spend a lot of money outside of paying rent and paying our bills and things like that. So I think that plays a huge factor into how much we spent there. We really didn't spend a whole lot, but yes, rent is pretty expensive. We would have our own place, but it would be very small. Very small meaning like just like a 1-bedroom apartment type of thing, or a type of idea, the sizing, like if you would think of a smaller 1-bedroom apartment, and we were paying around $2,500 a month, I would say, each time. But remember this, that it included all furnishings, so bed, everything in there was like, everything was there when we got there, and it also included all of the bills. So we didn't pay an electric bill or a cable bill or Wi-Fi or anything like that. It was all included in that price. So I think that's doable. It's a little bit more expensive than I'm sure what most people would want. But then you can do house shares, you can rent rooms, you can get a smaller place, you can go in a different location. Signing leases, signing a longer lease would also help you out. We only did month to month, so it was more expensive. But if you were to sign a lease that's, let's say, 6 months or a year, I'm sure your rent would lower. But then you would also have your bills to pay outside of that. So it's ebbs and flows, and I think it's really up to you to decide on what your budget is and then go from there. There's plenty of housing options there though. So another person wanted to know how we met friends. Essentially it was a lot of Instagram and then a lot of just being out. So like Damon would be out surfing and he'd come in and say, hey look, this is so-and-so, like he, this, that, or the other. We went to Veg Fest and met a bunch of people there, which was amazing. I had a few friends that I already knew were living there. You meet people, I guess, essentially the same way you meet people here. Some by chance, some on purpose, some you know through social media. And then, you know, we would rent off of people and we became friends with a lot of the people that we rented off of. Neighbors, kids and stuff like that. So you just tend to get close with people in the same aspect you would at home. It's how you meet people is kind of how you meet people. If you're someone who's really outgoing, you'll go out and you'll meet people. Where did you buy food and how expensive was it? So everything was a bit more expensive. The cost of living there is more expensive, but you also get paid more. So the minimum wage there is a lot more than what Pennsylvania would pay. I believe it's like $7 here and it's like $10 there. So I do think that that makes up for it in some ways. And some things are the same price, some things are cheaper, some things are more expensive. We shopped mostly at Costco and then farmers markets. Those are the two places that we always went. Costco for a lot of the things that they didn't have at the farmers market, and then farmers markets really are everywhere, and you pick and choose, you know, which produce is cheaper, more in season, things like that. It again works the same way as really at home. You just do it as efficiently as possible. We didn't go out to eat a lot. Maybe over the course of the 4 or 5 months we were there, we maybe went out to eat 5 times in total, because again, it is expensive, and the few times we did go out, we did end up spending $20, $40, $60 on food, which is not a bad thing, I don't think, but when you're trying to budget travel, you don't want to be doing that 3 or 4 times a week. You want to keep it lower. We made all of the most amazing foods with a lot of local produce and a lot of Costco efficient foods, which is great. I think it's fine. We kept it healthy. We kept it plant-based. Damon actually ate a lot healthier than he does, or he did at home, which was really great for him to feel that, because I don't think he's ever really felt, he's always ate a little bit less healthy than me, if that makes sense, like a little bit more processed foods. So it was really good for him to feel that, wow, like, this feels amazing, and he doesn't eat as much processed foods now, which is cool. What has the weather been like? So the weather was ideal. There was some rainy days. We even had a really big storm, but the rain is even beautiful there. It's very mild. There's always wind, so it never gets really, really cold. It never gets really, really hot. Towards the winter months, it does get a little bit cooler, maybe 10 degrees cooler, and it's a lot cooler in the mornings and the nighttime, but that honestly is a relief. Essentially the weather was perfect. I can't complain on any aspect about the weather, because the weather really was ideal. It was beautiful there and we really, really loved it. It was like the perfect summer weather. Someone asked about the bugs there. They said they heard the bugs are crazy there, and is that true? So I want to say this. Yes, there are bugs there, 100%, but there are also bugs in Pennsylvania. There are bugs in every single place that I've been to. There's been some wacky bugs. I just think in general the world is full of gross bugs. There was really big spiders. The centipedes here are like furry and soft, and they get pretty big. The centipedes there are scaly and hard, and they bite supposedly. I never saw one, I don't think, while we were there. I think we saw them on Maui, like we saw one on Maui, but they're not everywhere. There wasn't bugs everywhere. if you're closer to water, like, you know, stagnant water and things like that, or a lot of moisture, there's gnats and things, but again, that happens here. Yeah, basically same kind of idea. There's bugs here, there's bugs there, there's bugs everywhere, and none of them are really that fun. Some of the favorite hikes that we went on. There was one absolutely amazing hike that we went on to, I want to say it's called Leahy Falls or something like that. I'm going to insert it here. It was my favorite hike. If you have a chance to do it, it's very muddy. It's about 8 miles long, I believe, but it is so worth it when you get to those falls. We had it all to ourselves. That was just beautiful, just absolutely beautiful. I loved it. What was our favorite place that we stayed? So the favorite town that we stayed in was either Pupukea. It was probably Pupukea. I loved Pupukea. I mean, Pupukea is the typical, like, you know, beachy little town. It's just so much fun. It's right up on the North Shore. We are 100% keen on the North Shore vibe. I think that was just our favorite place to be, and we experienced so much there. We met so many amazing people there. Yeah, just great. We loved the North Shore, but really anywhere on that island is beautiful. You can go into the city, in the middle of the city, and it was still gorgeous. Did we sell our car before we left? Yes, we sold our car. So when we stayed in Pupukea, we stayed on this property where there was a big main house where a family lived. There was a rental up the top, and then there was our rental down the bottom. We sold our car to the woman who rents the rental up at the top. So that's where our car went, and it was great. It lined up perfectly. Her car was about to go. We had a Honda CR-V, which is a very common car there, so she had the same exact car, and hers was about to go. We sold it to her, and that was really awesome because we didn't have to go through too much hassle to try and sell it. It worked out really perfectly. Would we live there long term? Okay, so this was like a big thing. Everyone kept asking, like, why did you leave? We're like, will you go back? Are you gonna live there full term? And the answer as of right now is no. We will not be living on Oahu. We don't plan a future on Oahu. We loved Oahu for so many reasons, but not as a stable spot to live. We would love to go back there for a couple months every year if that was possible, but living there long term just didn't vibe with us 100% for Damon's goals, his future goals. It didn't really line up too much, and for the seasons, we missed seasons. We miss having all 4 of them, as well as like different things. Like you can, of course you can buy a lot of land there, but the land there is really expensive, and we would not be able to afford it. So you know, for our future goals and what we want to do in the future, it just didn't line up. As of right now, maybe in the future it will, and we'll decide, oh my god, just kidding, we want to live there. But as of right now, it wasn't the spot. You know, I feel like we're gonna know as soon as we get to wherever we're going. We're gonna be like, oh my god, this is the place, like this is where we want to be, or whatever. So this person wants to know if there were more or less or different job opportunities on Oahu. They were the same opportunities on a lower scale. It's a smaller island, so of course there essentially will be less job openings, but there are also less people on the island. So it's all relative. Damon got a job within the first couple weeks. It was really easy for him. Again, he has his CDL and he is a skilled worker, so I think that played a part in it. But there was all different kinds of jobs. I was always seeing job openings at like restaurants and cafes and things like that. So that is definitely, you will find a job there. And then otherwise, I'm not sure about other fields, but for CDL drivers and for things like working at a restaurant or something like that, you definitely could get a job. Otherwise, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure it would be the same thing. All right, the next question was kind of about veganism on Oahu, and I want to say first off that veganism on Oahu is a big thing. The vegan community there is strong. Veganism is really open there. There's always vegan options at every restaurant. It's way less judged or looked down upon than it is here in Pennsylvania, which is really interesting to see. But yeah, everyone's very open. There was never a problem. Always vegan food around, things like that. So it was great. Basically, overall, amazing. The vegan vibe there, or whatever you want to call it. So someone asked us if we wanted to stay longer. We did not. We were ready to move on to the next spot. We felt like we really did our thing there, and we are excited to move on to new places. We leave here in Pennsylvania again on February, the first week of February. We're leaving for a couple months. again to travel some more, and then again we're going to go to a new spot after I think 2 months we're going to spend in our next spot, and then move on. So I think just fluently moving on. We have like short-term game plans sort of, so like the next year we kind of have planned out about, would it be a year? About the next year, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, we're really excited to just move around and find our spot, and we want to experience a lot of places, and you know, just catch the vibe on all of them and see how we feel as time goes on, and we're loving that so far. So we're just gonna keep up with that. We had our great time on Oahu, and everything just seemed to line up perfectly with coming home and visiting, and it all just feels very fluid and calm and just good. Like I'm making the right choices in life, if that makes sense, because there was a lot of times in my life where I felt like this is wrong, like I'm not doing the right thing, this doesn't feel right. So I'm really just glad that everything feels really good, and just I feel very wholesome right now. I feel like every choice I've kind of made has been a very wholesome choice, and I feel good about it. I think I pretty much went over the basics of Oahu, why we were there, spending money, veganism, work, renting places. I think I covered a lot of it, but if you have any questions, you can just leave them down in the comments, and I will get back to you as soon as possible on them. I'm sure there's going to be other comments and concerns and questions, and I'm totally open to answering just about any of them. I'm really excited to show you the rest of our travels. We plan on continuing to travel for I don't know how long, I guess a couple years. As of right now in my head, I can see us traveling for at least the next year, I'll say that. And if you guys want to follow along, you can subscribe. That helps my channel grow a little bit. And yeah, that's all. I'm so bad still at ending videos. I wonder when I'll get okay at doing that. I don't know. All right, I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. I love you guys, and I will see you for the next video.